It is crazy to me that the third Wednesday of the month always just comes right around the corner, you know? Lisa
Very
Webb,
quick.
how are we doing today?
Doing great. I don't know. What episode are we on now? Not to put you on the spot. Six?
Six. Yeah, this is six.
Six, I think.
Last month's did really well. I think the Life Happens thing really connected with our audience because so many times we talked about it. It's all hunky-dory happiness, but we don't kind of look over the shoulder and see all the hard work, tears that are going on.
We're all human, and life does happen, and it's not always pleasant. So it's out there.
It is. And just like, that's out there, so are you. Angel Tree program is kicking off, isn't it?
Yeah. So Bunker Hill this year is the first time that I decided let's do something with the Angel Tree program. And what that is, it's trying to help some of the local children there in the Bunker Hill School District area. That might be needy for Christmas, and we had a pretty good response for our first go around. So forms are in, and now we're getting ready to make the angels and put them on the tree, and then the community will come out and hopefully pick an angel and go shop for them. And
I just love it. I just love it because you're just someone who, if there's not something there, you just do it.
Let's try it. See how it works. Yeah,
it's just really cool, and that's why I always highlight that when I talk about you is make sure people know. You aren't just, a real estate agent here to sell. You're here to be a part of the community, and you have been for decades.
Yeah, and I do have a small little project that I'm working on, hopefully to roll out this week. And Santa Claus and I are going to be getting some letters together for kiddos. So stay tuned for that announcement coming out to where kiddos can send a letter to Santa and get a letter from Santa. So that'll be fun. We're working on that now. So
that's incredible. Well, this time around, you sent me some stats. You sent me a report, and what are we talking about?
Well, I wanted to just sort of touch base with the consumers because there's so much going on right now in the news about the interest rates, about different loan programs. The market's crashing. Is the market crashing? Is it a bad market? A lot of agents are leaving the industry because they feel like it's a bad market. And so I just wanted to be able to touch base with some numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
Just sort of let people know that we are in a good market. So
I can say this.
Yeah.
I was a statistic this year.
That's right. Yes, you were a statistic. So you were either up or down compared to where we were at. So characteristics, we'll just start it off, of a home buyer. First-time home buyers made up 32% of last year. 26% increase. This increase below the average of 38 since 1981. So we have an uptick in first-time home buyers because you added to that number. So
you're welcome.
You're welcome. But I just want people to understand that it is a good market.
Yeah.
Inventory is still low, which that sort of stinks.
I have a question for you. Is it because they think the market's bad, or is it because they're being too picky?
The inventory has been low since I started, right whenever I first started, which I'm going on 8 years. When I first started, it was the first time that it was a little bit of a buyer's market, but then after that, it just went low because what happens is you have people that are selling, and then you have people that are buying, but then they buy up what's there, and then there isn't enough people listing. They're not, for whatever reason. They think, I'm going to wait until spring. I'm going to wait until the kids get out of school. And so if you think about it, when our interest rates took a dive, so those people that could have been, hey, let's sell and buy a new home, the interest rates took a dive. They were great. So what did they do? They refinanced.
Gotcha.
So now they're like, well, I'm just going to refinance and I'm going to make the renovations to my own house and I'm not going to move because there wasn't enough inventory for them to find something that they truly loved. So they're going to renovate where they're at now. And so now that they refinanced, they're going to stay for a while.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of a cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down. But inventory's always been low. Always. It's hard to get that inventory up.
It's amazing though, because so many people you'd think man, you see the pictures, they find the house and it's beautiful, but I'm sure so many people that are just trying to find that one spot, the one neighborhood, right? The one.
I have clients now that were looking for a property, and they're more of a higher end client, and so they want a pool, they want a lake, they want some acreage, and they need a house big enough for a multi-generational family, and it's just not there. You got 3 of the 5 things, or then you have 4, but then you're missing that space, and then you have everything all together with a lake and a pool, but then there's not the acreage. So it's just, it's hard to find that perfect fit, and people, especially with the interest rates, aren't going to settle for, what they are going to settle for, because they don't have to.
True.
Again, I have to disclose that these interest rates are not bad.
No.
So I know that they're not the 3 and the 4 that they were, but they're not bad interest rates. So get that out of your head now. Adjust your finances to match that interest rate. Make sure you can afford what you can afford. The interest rates are not going to go backwards.
Right. So, and that's a huge. I kept hearing people go, well, blah, blah, interest rate, the interest. But in the grand scheme of things, we're still historically low.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started in the industry, interest rates were teetering between 6 and 8%. That was 8 years ago. So they've gone up, they've gone down, and now they circled back around. Now they're just about where they were, 8, 7 years ago. And that's still compared to where things were back before the market crashed at 21%, at 12%. You're still at a good interest rate.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and do you think it's just because people hear so much, and maybe it's in terms of, I'm not picking on like a news channel, but in terms of news, friends talking?
I'll pick on the news channels for you.
Thank you.
So, I don't watch the news a lot just because you could go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, man. Then you got an aluminum foil hat on,
Going down there, and you're like, nope. But all of the local news channels, and they'll have their real estate segments come on.
Yep.
And you'll have these news people, and now people don't have to understand, these real estate companies are from all over. So California is totally different than New York, which is totally different than the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so things are going to vary across the board. But when you talk to a real estate professional, a realtor, they're going to tell you all the same things. You have to price it right. If you price it right, it's going to sell. You have to do your marketing. You have to be qualified buyers. You have to go through all of the normal steps that we've talked about over the last 6 months, and it's going to sell. But instead, the news articles are going, oh, we're in for a market crash. Oh, the people are leaving left and right. The interest rates are chaotic, and that's not the case. Not the case at all. And even the foreclosures aren't as high as where they used to be.
Really?
So the foreclosure rates are still lower than where they've been in the years. They haven't climbed all the way up yet. Now, we may see some of that after, since COVID and the moratorium with the mortgage, that may still trickle in, but we're not going to have a market crash. We're not going to have, a 2008.
Well, because all year, that's what was freaking me out. And that's why I was kind of nervous whenever we did sign the contract. I'm like, what's going to happen? Because they say there's a recession coming. We aren't going to be able to do. I'm in a marketing company. I'm in a media company, and a recession's coming. That's not a foolproof scheme here. I'm a talk show host. I'm a pretty expendable resource. All these slots coming. But you're right. It's that fear. But again, talking to you, you're like, just take it easy. We're going to get through this together. And it's been smooth sailing. Yeah. So this is very fascinating to me. Going back to these numbers, thank you for taking part of my rant. I really appreciate it. But so the typical first-time home buyer was 35 years old this year. What does that mean?
Well, so what you're looking at is, and again, I don't know the proper verbiage for the millennials and Gen Xers.
I don't either.
I just know I'm old and I fall into that category. So I can't pinpoint everybody like everybody does. But so if you think about it, though, the generations before, they were all about, they were renting, they didn't have savings, and they weren't prepared,
Yep.
and so then now they're like, okay, rent is going up. Now let's think about that. Rent, and don't say how much your house payment is, but if you take your house payment and you compare that to the $1,200, $1,400, whatever that you would have to pay in rent, that's still going to go up. You can't afford it.
Right.
So now they're like, okay, there's so many different programs out there to help people buy a home. 0% down programs, FHA 3.5%, grants, all of those things. Now your buyer, your middle 30s can now go out and go, oh, I got a steady job now. My credit's where it needs to be. I can buy a house because it's going to be cheaper than renting.
Right.
And rent is always going to go up. Rent is not going to come down.
No. No.
And when you have to pay your rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage.
There was an individual, and I'm not going to put him on blast, but it was on one of the RiverBender things, and it was about a home for rent. And someone made the comment, at that rate, why don't you just go and buy a house? Well, and then the arguments start, well, because we have to charge this month. And I'm not saying she's wrong, because, there's renter's insurance, and you have all these components that I'm sure equivalent to why you're putting a price point there. But if there's other opportunities for younger people to really put their footprint out there and you start, building up some equity and really becoming that, portfolio builder, I would always go with that route, not just me personally.
Yeah. And keep in mind, not everybody should own a home.
That's fascinating. See, well, hold on here. That's a fascinating thing. Can you explain that? Because that's interesting.
Well, because let's look at you. I know you, so I'm just going to use you as an example.
Please.
So here comes CJ. He wants to own a home, but he's never there. He doesn't have any kids. He's not married. He doesn't have any pets. He's always on the go. He doesn't know how to fix things, so he would have to hire somebody all the time to fix whatever happens to his house.
True.
His job stability is uncertain. So he's going to go and now commit to a 30-year mortgage to where it's not really feasible for him to own this home. And people are going to backlash at me for this, but why would he commit to a 30-year mortgage when there's all these obstacles that could take him away from here, take him somewhere else, take him, and he doesn't want to be a landlord, so he would have to charge enough in his rent to pay for his mortgage. Why would he would just rent?
Right. Now that's...
He's a year-by-year kind of guy.
Yep.
Where am I going to be this year? I'm going to be here. So I'm going to sign my year's lease. Now my lease is coming up. You know what? I'm going to go to California. I'm single. I can do that. I'm going to go try out in California. Lease is done, goes out to California. Those are the type of people that really, they probably shouldn't own a home.
Yeah.
So rent.
That's fascinating, though. I never even thought of it that way. If you're just owning a home to own one, not to live in it, then what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the go and you're not really committed yet to plant your roots, then just rent. Go and try out the world. And then come back, unless you're ready to be a landlord, and then you buy properties throughout, and then you could use those as assets and make money off of them. But you have to have the mentality for that, and maybe CJ wouldn't.
No, hell no! I can tell you that now. I would be the worst landlord ever. All my houses would go under within 6 months. Well, they said they just needed a couple of more months to not pay.
They have like 500 dogs and 600 cats, and
but they just wanted to keep all the animals.
Yeah, they wanted them all. So in my opinion, that not everybody should own a home, but if you're able to own a home, please do it.
Yeah.
Because it's an asset for you. And why not? It's the most stable asset out there as far as compared to stocks and bonds. And I'm not an accountant, so don't sue me for that. But if you think about it, a home is value. It's going to be there more than likely as long as you maintain it. That value is always going to be where it's at or higher, and you can sell it and recoup your money.
Absolutely. And now, circling back to your statistics here, the buyer age fell a year from 59 years to 58 years for repeat buyers, correct? Now, does that just mean more and more people are just deciding, hey, let's, instead of buying the condo in Florida or, going to assist, is that kind of what that means? What's that?
Yeah, so when you look at where the repeat buyers are down. It's more and more people are staying where they're at. That's where the refinance comes in, because maybe mom and dad now are elderly and they're moving in, so they're refinancing and building on. Or, there's something like that. Or you have your generation that they sell their house and now they're traveling. I've had several people sell the homes and buy an RV, and they're just on the road. So now they're traveling, and they're not repeat buyers because now they're traveling and they're just living their senior life and enjoying it,
Right.
So there's those circumstances.
Huh. Well, that's just really interesting. And just looking at this, I just want to go through this list because these are a lot. I love stats. I always just find them fascinating. So 59% of recent buyers, married couples. And look at my gender here is struggling. 19% were single females, 10% were single males, 9% unmarried couples. Lowest share since 2010.
But I think that's on the uptick now. I really do, just because in our area anyway, you're seeing more and more single people, even people that aren't married. Or, like this one house that I have that we were talking about, it's an investor house, but it's 3 people that they just bought the house together.
Right.
Because they're going to invest in it and they're going to fix it up, So I think in our area that number is a little bit higher. And then these are from NAR. So this is from
National.
Yeah, this is across the board. But I think in our area, I am seeing more and more single, younger people going, hey, you know what? I want to buy a house.
Well, I could easily see that, Lisa, without a shadow of a doubt. And with that, too, I think it's wild that 70% didn't have a child under the age of 18 at home. Mm-hmm. Because to me, I'm thinking that's when you do buy a house, your kid's getting a little bigger, 6 or 7, maybe need some more space, so you buy that house. But that's not even
now. And if you think about it, if you look at some of the numbers, that if you a lot of times people are renting, so. What was the age of the child at home?
Under the age of 18.
Under the age of 18. So I know, for a lot of people, they weren't taught, the certain generations weren't taught how to save money. So they weren't taught from the get-go how to build their credit. So now they have families, but they have all the toys in the world they love, meaning the big toys like your boats and four-wheelers and stuff like that. But now they don't have any money to really invest in a home. So now their kids are older, and now they're like, well, we'll buy a house now. And again, this is just across the nation. So different things, California to New York. And if you think about cities, why in the world would somebody in a city necessarily want to buy? Those are primarily renters in New York City. Because I don't know about you, but I can't afford any condo in, New York Central, whatever square.
I could probably
when you look at those prices, it's millions of dollars for 700 square feet.
Yeah.
But I think in our area, we still have the families that buy, but I can definitely understand and appreciate where some of these families just were not taught the necessities needed to build yourself from the get-go of how to build your credit, how to build your savings, and be able to put down money for a house. And again, it goes back to not educated on, there is programs that you can use that you don't have to put 20% down.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and it's such a good point, and that's something I never even thought of, was that aspect, is generational knowledge, and all those things are important. So I want to know more about multi-generational homes, because to me this was a thing that was common in like the 40s and 50s, and it kind of got away from it a little bit. Is it coming back?
Oh, yeah.
Is
absolutely.
it really?
Absolutely.
Whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah, and that's, when you look at the cost of assisted living, when you look at the awareness of dementia and Alzheimer's and those type of things, back in the day when long-term care insurance and things like that came out, it was very popular and affordable, and people jumped on that bandwagon. And so people would have the means for a loved one to go somewhere. But, now you have people are living longer, and families are a lot of times bigger. You have his and hers and ours. And then you have mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, and do you want them to have to go to an assisted living or to a nursing home. Nothing against those places.
Right.
But if you can have a house big enough to accommodate dad or mom or grandpa, why not? You know, they can still enjoy their life, be around the family, and enjoy hopefully a little bit longer time. So it's not uncommon to have a multi-generational. A lot of times mom and dad help babysit.
That's true. That's very true. Well, I never even thought about it because to me, I really thought it was going away, but it makes total sense because you're right. I mean, I've talked to folks, assisted living is astronomical. I mean, you need to go ahead and pick up 4 jobs if you want to do that by the time I'm 70. I'll need to work 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, if you think about it, you know, maybe dad passed away, mom is still healthy, but she had a big house, so they sell the house. Mom move in because mom watches the kids, you know, she's with the grandkids, so she has her in-law suite or whatever the case is. And why not? You know, she can help share in those expenses and everybody gets to stay together a little bit longer. And I think in medical society, I'm not a medical professor, but I think if mom live a healthy life and can be around her grandkids a little bit more extended, why not?
100%. 100%. And as we go through some of these, what are some that are sticking out to you? Because, I mean, all of them are just very fascinating to me.
Well, and I know that whenever I was going through these, I think the main thing that I really wanted to touch base on was that most of your numbers are going to be better. You know, so when you look at the stats, all of the numbers for the most part, we were better than where we were. I do want to touch base, and I think it might lead into a little bit of a conversation. So let's talk a little bit about the 89% of the home sellers worked with a real estate agent, and 7% sold Facebook for sale by owner, and then 1% sold by iBuyer. So let me tell you a little bit about iBuyer.
Okay.
So this is, and I don't know a whole lot with it, but the brokerage that I was with before I opened my own brokerage, they introduced this iBuyer concept. Zillow had this iBuyer concept, that nasty word Zillow, and then a couple of the other brokerages had this iBuyer concept. So this is all where you have a pool of homes. People are open to, they put these pool of homes out here on this site, and people can buy these homes from all over. They're buying, you know, sight unseen, whatever the case is, investment or whatever. So everything's handled through a platform.
Right.
You know, so it's not like somebody's coming there necessarily looking at it. A lot of times it's investors going to say, I'm going to pay cash, and it's something new. So 2023, 2022, end of 2021 into 2022 was when these iBuyer programs kicked off. Now, with that being said, you typically don't have the normal showings. You don't have the normal relationship with the agents that you would if you were doing it real live and in person. So that was at 1%. I have not seen the numbers lately to see where that went, but I have heard through different real estate sites that like the iBuyer program for Zillow wasn't the best, and they were starting to fade that out. Do you think that'll lead to more consumer safety on some of those things? Some of those things, I'm hesitant to have people do that because they're not. I don't think they're fully covered with where they need to be for safety. You don't know what you don't know,
right?
You know, and you can be told whatever, and it may or may not be correct. So when you look at the for sale by owner, 7% of people sold their home for sale by owner. And again, this isn't a show to bash the for sale by owners, but it also goes back to you only know what you know. So if you've been selling your home for sale by owner incorrectly, you're going to keep doing it incorrectly.
Right.
And then you have been lucky enough not to get hit with a lawsuit, but eventually it will come because you didn't disclose something, you didn't say something that you should have, and then that person purchasing your home is going to come back and sue you because you didn't have a professional guide you through it.
Right.
I know that we had talked briefly about doing for sale by owners, and I'll touch bases on it real quick. I had an incident where a for sale by owner had posted their house on Facebook that they were selling it. And so in this post, he or she put that they were selling their house, they were offering this. However, they were not allowing realtors to show the house. And so it just set me back a little bit. So I sent him a message and I said, so you're telling me that if I have a buyer that you will not allow me to show your house to my buyer. And I understand where sellers that are doing for sale by owner, because CJ, if you go to list your house for sale by owner, as soon as you advertise that, you're going to get 100 agents calling you and saying, I have a buyer. Can I come look at your house? They're going to come and look at your house and they're going to go, here's what I could do to list your house. Do they really have a buyer? No, not really.
They just want to list your home.
They just want to list your home. And it's a marketing tool.
Right.
People do it. And so I get where this person was coming from. They were thinking that they would maybe deter people from contacting them. However, they are also limiting their pool of people. Because I have buyer for that area, and maybe I want to bring them to look at the house. So you're telling me that you're not going to allow that. So their response was, well, we're not going to pay. We don't want to have to pay your fee for that buyer. We've done this before, and we had to pay a fee for the last buyer, and it was a mess. And so I responded back and I said, you do realize that you are not required to pay anybody's fee for anything.
Right.
And they did not realize that. And again, it goes back to you know what you know. And if you don't know correctly, then you're going to assume all the way through this process that you were responsible for that. So they weren't. Just because you're listing for sale by owner and I have a buyer and I show this house and we write a contract, nowhere in any law does it say that that person selling the home is required to pay that real estate agent XYZ.
Right.
They're not. That is something that's negotiated beforehand, either with the for sale by owner or with the buyer, and that's all part of negotiations. There is no law that says anybody is required to pay a real estate agent XYZ.
Right.
You know, so I just think, again, education is so important. And if you don't understand it, and if you want to do for sale by owner, reach out to a local professional, reach out to a local realtor, ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain times where somebody wants to list a house and they want to use me as an agent, but maybe they're upside down in their house. Maybe they can't afford to use an agent because they're going to have to bring money to the table to cover everything that needs to take place, and they don't have it. That's okay. Reach out to a professional in your area and say, what do I need to do?
Right.
So I don't get sued. Maybe, you know, do I need to do XYZ? And if that agent is professional at all, they'll tell them.
Right.
You know, they'll say,
yeah,
I totally get it. Here's what you need to do.
Well, and it's a huge point. I mean, and it's something that, you know, it shows you, though, that bad experiences do put taste into folks' mouths. But it's all about raising awareness to, you know, what really is appropriate and what's not appropriate and what's required, what's not required, what's legal, what's not legal. Yeah. Those are all things. And, you know, do you ever feel like there's ever going to be a time where there's not going to be a for sale by owner option where the federal government will say, hey, there's too many discrepancies, it's leading to too much litigation, it's backlogging our court system, we're done with for sales?
No, I don't think so. You're always going to have those people out there. I mean, there's investors out there, and that's what they do. They do this all day long.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're going to continue to do that all day long. You know, it's no different. Your dad may say, and these are just examples, your dad may say, hey, CJ, I have this house over here. Why don't you go ahead and buy it? You know, why don't you buy it? You know, and you guys are going to handle that yourself. Are you going to pick up the phone and call Lisa and say, hey, I want you to list this? You're going to pick up the phone and call Lisa and say, hey, what do we need to do?
Right.
But I don't necessarily need to help your dad sell that because he's selling it to you.
That makes total sense.
So go to the courthouse, do your quitclaim deed. and do it that way. It's not gonna do me any. I mean, yeah, I'd love to help your dad and do that, but you guys can do that yourself.
Right.
And so then you're gonna come to me and say, Lisa, I need you to notarize my paperwork. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that because I'm a notary.
One number that sticks out is 100%. So what does this mean? Because the final sales price was a median of 100% of the final listing price.
So if you look at where we're at in our values in today compared to last year, a year before, our values have done significantly increased. So when you're looking at 100% of the median price based on a year ago, our values have had an increase of XYZ to where now the median price for this particular area, depending on where it's at, is exactly where it was at a higher price last year.
Gotcha.
So that's where those median values come in. So if you're in an area that homes values are increasing, they've increased since 2022, 2021. Now your home, just the median price is at 100% where it sold for 2 years ago, and so now you're up with equity, so you're going to be higher in value.
That is so fascinating. And now just going back to that previous statistic you shared with us, 7%, is that kind of dropping dramatically? Because it was for sale by owner a pretty big thing in prior decades, or was it always with an agent?
No, I think that's been a pretty steady number.
Okay.
Just from what I've seen over the years. Now, HGTV and all of those wonderful channels now, I think have sparked more for sale by owner people that feel like, yeah, we can just do it myself because I watch HGTV and I can do it all. But your statistics show that you don't necessarily get as much value as doing for sale by owner as if you would if you did it with a realtor because your exposure is less. So we are able to generate more value because we're reaching out to a wide array of people and communities to get your home in front of people. So it's still beneficial to do with an agent when at all possible. Absolutely.
And before, just looking at a few of these, sellers use the same agent to purchase a home to sell their home for only 46%. Now, see, I thought that would be 100 because I'm buying a home with you, so just go ahead and sell this.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important to have your consumers know, like, and trust you. Because if CJ wants to buy a house, then you would think that CJ would go back to Lisa and say, hey, sell my house because I'm going to buy this house. But what if CJ had a bad experience with Lisa? Then he's like, I'm not going to call her again. Or what if CJ's uneducated and he doesn't realize that just because a house is for sale, you're not going to go with that listing agent?
Right.
So people are uneducated and they don't understand that go back to the agent that you purchased the house with before. If you have an agent selling your house, tell them that you need to buy and work with them to buy a house. Don't go to a listing agent who's only looking out for the seller.
Right.
Go with your agent so they understand, hey, we're selling this one, we're buying this one, we need these two to coordinate in closing, we need to look at this amount of money. But people are uneducated and they don't understand that this is why you do the things, or they don't know, like, and trust their agent, so they don't understand to contact them for repeat business.
That is honestly kind of scary, though, because to me, if I just called the listing agent, that's a very kind of convoluted journey to home ownership or to purchasing your next home.
So the listing agent is looking out for the person selling the home.
Yeah.
The buyer's agent is looking out for the person buying the home. So it is very important that you do not cross into that dual agency role. And I've done a few dual agency roles, and you have to be very, very particular on how you handle it because there is certain things that you can't do. And so do you think that you're really giving your buyer their fiduciary duties if you're representing the seller?
Right. Now, remember that thing we talked about a couple months ago where you could sell the home that somebody, what was that called? Co-op, dual agency?
Yeah, dual agency.
Is that kind of going to this statistic too, in a way?
As far as
the 46% of sellers, or am I in the wrong ballpark now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you're.
Okay.
I think this is something as far as repeat.
Gotcha.
So you're buying a house, and I have this circumstance right now to where somebody is buying a property, and they had, and I have to watch how I say this because I have to be very tactful without revealing anything. But they have a different agent that they're going to sell their house with because they felt like this particular agent didn't do their fiduciary duty with them, didn't hold up their side of what they need to have done. And so now they've already contacted another agent to sell their house.
Gotcha.
And they're under contract with buying.
Oh.
But now somebody else is selling because they weren't comfortable with this circumstance. And they're under contract, so they have to follow through, but somebody else is selling. So that's a prime example where know, like, and trust just isn't adding up there. And so, those are numbers to be concerned with.
Wow. That is...
It happens. It's just amazing on all the different things that happen out there.
All these numbers are just fascinating. What do these all mean to you? Is the market in a healthy shape? Is it in a good position? What are your thoughts?
I see improvement. I mean, when I look at these numbers, I see improvement. I see things are still good. I don't see a sign for necessarily alarming. People ask all the time, so have you been busy? How's the market? Are you concerned? And my response to them is, I'm not concerned about the market. People have to buy and sell houses
right.
all day long.
Right.
I mean, jobs, family, change of life, whatever. And I think the difference between low interest, when the finances plummet the interest rate, you had now all of these agents that I'm going to be an agent, I'm going to be an agent, I'm going to be an agent, and they didn't have to do anything because the interest rates were 2% and people were just falling out of the ceiling. I want my house. Yeah. Okay, great. And so now that interest rates are back to where they normally are, your serious agents are there. Now the ones that do this full time, that understand the market, that it's their business, it's their career. We're here working. We do what we do every day, and we understand the fluctuation.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa Webb, any listings that we need to direct our audience's attention to?
So I have a few that are going to be coming up. So the one in Bethalto is finally getting ready. It's a bank foreclosure.
Okay.
So it'll be coming up. Stay tuned for that.
That's a nice home.
It needs a little bit of love, but it's going to be really great. It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Has an in-ground pool. It has a garage, 2-car garage. It does need some love to it, but it's in a well area of Bethalto. So that one will be coming sooner than later. I have a new one in Steelville, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a 2-story. That's a foreclosure. That will be coming to the market. My Macomb property is under contract.
Yeah!
So hopefully that'll keep going. My Godfrey property is under contract.
That's
so
fantastic.
Hopefully that'll keep going. But, we do have things coming down the pipeline, and stay tuned. We do have down the road, Alton will be coming up right now. We just finished the personal property hold time. So we're going to be working on trash out bids, getting all of that cleaned out and ready to go. But that'll be a good sized ranch over in the Milton area of Alton.
Nice, yeah.
On a basement. And so that'll be coming down the pipeline. I would say probably that might be more towards our December edition, getting ready to go. So, but right now, stay tuned for the Bethalto one coming It'll be listed by the end of the week.
Absolutely. So. And we'll link all of that too online so that way you guys can all find. I like the way we did it last month. I think we had a pretty good month.
Yeah.
And, I always want to make sure that you guys are aware that if you are able to participate in the Angel Tree program, go pick up one of the angels off the tree and help provide a Christmas to one of the individuals in the area that do need it the most. Yep. We did it again for 40 minutes, Lisa Webb. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Visit thirdstrealtyrightthere.com today and start your journey with Lisa Webb right over there today.
Bye.